Imagine you have these two artworks. You want to get something like this, but you don't want to make copies like that. Now what can you do? Hello and welcome to the Vector Garden. In this video we are going to take a look at how to use brushes for this task. I'm going to delete these and I'm going to delete this. And then let's take a look at the brushes. Let's go to Window Brushes to open the Brushes panel. And then what you can do is take this artwork and just drag it into the Brushes panel. And we're going to make a scatter brush like this. I'm going to leave these all like they are. And then we can test out that brush just by drawing a line with the brush tool. And then this gets applied automatically. You can apply brushes to lines that you draw with the line segment tool, but for simplicity I'm using the brush tool. This doesn't look like grass at all, so let's double click this to edit that brush. And then what we can do, of course, is set the spacing closer. And you see they all get aligned in a row. Now that's not what we wanted. How can we improve that? Go to those options and set them all to random, every one of them. Just the rotation, we can set that to random, but of course we do not want to rotate it around. So we're going to take a look at that. First of all, the size. This can be varied slightly just to make that look more realistically. And then the spacing, we want to vary the spacing in the low value. And then the scattering. The scattering is about the variation to the left and the right of the path. Set that to a very low value. And then you get some variation in here. And the rotation, of course, we do not want to vary it like this, but a slight variation can make that more interesting. The rotation relative, now in this case of this path, it doesn't matter a lot. But if you have different paths, then it will matter. So if it's relative to the page, then they will all be right upwards. And then we have the method. Let's change that to tints like this. Okay, applies to strokes. So now what we can do, instead of just drawing the line like this, we can also draw it like this and get like bundles of them. And that's where the alignment to the page really matters. So what can we do if we want to have this mixed? We can, of course, drag them both into the panel, but then they will always be like this pair, and we do not want that really. So take the next one and drag it in here, make a scatter brush as well, set them all to random like this. And of course, we also set some variation in here. And I do not want as many, so I set the variation to a higher value. And also vary the size slightly, and very little scattering, and very little rotation. And also we are going to set them to tints like this. So now we can draw the next line and have these, but that is of course not mixed. And we could drag it like this, but then we have two paths. So that is something we do not need, but we can do something else and select an existing path and go to Window Appearance. And then let's just take this and duplicate it like that. And there we can apply another brush. And we have now just one object, this one path, and it has two different grasses applied. Then let's take a look at the colorization. I have set that to tints, which means we can just go into those colors and then just set them up differently and That's pretty easy to do. So you can set them up to anything just like that. Let's take a look at how this looks in the Layers panel, because of course we want to see how to handle it in the file. And you see we have just a couple of objects, and this can be handled easily in the file to move it around and whatnot. Also, when you want to have a different gap in this one, so less grass leaves in this one than in that one, you do not need another brush. You can instead not double click this, but use this button and in there set up a different spacing. Let's take a look at the preview, and you see it just gets applied to this object. So this is how you can use brushes for the task. Stay tuned, we have more methods.